My parents forced me to lose weight to look presentable for my sister's wedding. But now I look better than the bride, and they want me to go back to my old self. I was always the fat girl since I can remember. My size made me stand out from the rest of the children in kindergarten. My weight had already marked me as different. Over the years, this only became more evident. By the time I reached high school, it was undeniable that I was overweight, and it was a problem that made me feel quite bad. In college, it didn't change much. Being the biggest wasn't easy. It constantly exposed me to bullying and following comments. Harassment was a constant in my life. My classmates mocked me relentlessly, which caused me to feel even more insecure, which made the problem even worse. They called me names and made rude jokes. Often they left me out of games, parties, and gatherings. As a result, I took refuge in books. I immersed myself in novels and stories that allowed me to escape from my reality. Books didn't judge me or look at me with contempt. I earned the reputation of being the nerd, and honestly, it didn't bother me as much as one might think. Compared to me, my younger sister Bonnie was my opposite. 1 year younger than me, she was born with a natural charisma that attracted people. Bonnie not only made friends easily, she seemed to have an innate ability to win everyone over as if she were the sun and others gravitated around her. Despite all this, I liked Bonnie. I took my role as big sister very seriously and felt a protective instinct towards her. When she started attending the same high school as me, I was excited. But as she grew up, things began to change. When Bonnie started making her own way in high school, I noticed how our relationship transformed. She began to realize our differences and how we were treated differently. I was the introvert who loved books while she was popular, someone who fit perfectly among the popular kids. Little by little, I noticed that she was distancing herself from me and even avoiding me at school. This hurt me deeply. It bothered me that my own sister saw me as someone inferior, but I tried to respect her space, although I felt I was losing not only my sister but also a friend. Over time, Bonnie not only ignored me, she began to join others, to make me feel like an outcast. If we crossed paths in the hallways or in the cafeteria, she and her friends took advantage of any opportunity to humiliate me. They played pranks on me in front of other students, or worse yet, they tried to make me trip while carrying my lunch tray. Also, others would laugh. I lived in constant alert, trying to dodge not only the mockery of my classmates but also the pain that now came from my own sister. This hurt me deeply, especially because it came from someone I had always loved. When Bonnie invited her friends home, they also took advantage to mess with me. They entered my room without permission, laughed at me, and pointed at my body while insulting me. They called me things like fat cow and nerd with total shamelessness. I felt like an animal on display, as if I only served for their entertainment. Several times I tried to talk to my parents about this, hoping they would understand how difficult it was for me to deal with Bonnie's behavior, but my parents didn't care, or rather, they cared more about Bonnie. They assured me it was harmless, even suggesting I should relax and not take the teasing so seriously. They reminded me that I was the older one, and therefore should have more patience and resilience. So in addition to enduring years of bullying, from my classmates, including my own sister, my parents didn't care. This made me feel alone, as if no one in my family really understood how much it hurt me. The only time I felt truly recognized by my parents was academically. I was always good at studying and was used to getting outstanding grades. Somehow, that was the only area where I felt I excelled. It was also the only way I managed to make my parents proud, the only aspect of my life that really seemed to matter to them. They loved to brag about my academic achievements to friends and family, painting me as the smart one in the family, as if my grades were proof of the success of their parenting. But Bonnie hated the comparisons. She wasn't an outstanding student, nor did she aspire to be one. However, my parents' constant references to my achievements generated resentment in her. I could always feel her frustration and anger, and I suppose that's why she did what she did to me. Sometimes Bonnie tried to sabotage my academic effort as a way to get back at me. She would sneak into my room in the middle of the night and steal my homework, sometimes just before a big project was due. I would wake up in the morning and find that my work was no longer there. For her, it was like a small victory, a way to bring me down and remind me that I wasn't untouchable. She knew exactly how much my grades meant to me, how much of my self-esteem depended on them, and she enjoyed taking away the only good thing in my life. I found out years later that she had been responsible for stealing my assignments when she confessed it during a drunken night. Anyway, over time, our relationship has softened, although we are far from being close. You could say she has matured a bit, and part of the resentment from our young years has disappeared, but that deep bond that sisters often share never fully developed between us. After college, I moved and started a new life in another city, so I didn't see my family frequently. As time passed, everything was reduced to a few messages and calls, no more than that. That's why last summer when I planned a visit to my old city, I was excited. It had been a long time since our last family reunion, and I was looking forward to reconnecting and catching up. But things didn't turn out as expected. The family lunch started quite well. Everyone seemed happy to see me, and for a while, it felt like a normal family reunion. However, that changed when Bonnie suddenly announced that she was engaged. No one, not even my parents, knew she was engaged, so we didn't know if she was serious or it was just a joke, but she clarified that she was serious. And if proof was needed, she showed an impressive ring to clear all doubt. I'm not going to lie, it was a very beautiful ring. Almost as soon as the congratulations died down, Bonnie turned her attention to me and asked what I had been doing lately. I shared with her about my work, my life, and how satisfying everything had been for me. Before I could finish what I was saying, Bonnie interrupted me. "I can't help but say this," she told me. "But why are you still fat? I mean, if your life is so great, shouldn't you have lost weight already?" Everyone fell silent because basically she said it loud enough for other people to hear. I simply shrugged and tried to laugh awkwardly at her comment, but soon my parents joined the attack. They started saying that I was still fat and single, and they were worried that I would never have children. I was proud of what I had achieved, but for them that wasn't important. My weight and the lack of a family of my own were all they could see. While my parents and Bonnie continued talking about me, their comments hurt me more than I expected. I had spent years of my life building my confidence and independence, but in those moments I felt like the same insecure and clumsy teenager. My parents then praised Bonnie for getting engaged before me and expressed how proud they were of her. Somehow for them, I was the younger daughter despite my achievements. Maybe successful, but not in the things that really mattered to them. Bonnie didn't stop. She continued with her incisive questions. "So when are you going to get married? I mean, do you even have a boyfriend?" She was clearly trying to mock me in front of everyone, talking about my love life. My parents were also into it, agreeing with Bonnie that it was time for me to find someone before it was too late. They pointed out how Bonnie, being younger, was settling down before me, while I, being the older one, was still wasting my life on my work. I tried to defend myself, explaining that I lived my life as I wanted, that I had found satisfaction in my career and my independence. My job paid me well, and it was something I felt passionate about. I told them, "Why do I have to find a man or have a child? I'm happy just as I am." My mom especially told me in a sarcastic tone, "What's the use of earning all that money if you don't have anyone to come home to?" It was as if they couldn't conceive that happiness could exist outside of marriage or family. Bonnie then began to say that she hoped I would at least have a companion for her wedding. She told me she didn't want people to think her sister was an old and miserable woman who was alone while she was getting married. It was then that my parents told me directly that since Bonnie's wedding was almost a year away, even if I couldn't manage to find a partner, at least I should try to lose weight and look more presentable for the wedding. They told me that maybe after losing weight it would be easier for me to attract a man. Bonnie agreed with my parents and told me that at least she wanted me to lose a few pounds. How can a family talk to one of their members this way? Did I really deserve their cruel words just for being overweight? Was I supposed to have no feelings just because I was fat? I mean, I'm a normal person like them. I function normally like anyone else. I never saw my weight as an impediment, so why did they? I've even dated men who liked me just as I was, but my parents and Bonnie were making it seem like my weight prevented me from finding love or men from approaching me when that wasn't even true. I hated how casually my family could talk about my biggest insecurities without caring how they made me feel. So I stood there, keeping my pain to myself, while the conversation eventually drifted to another topic. After that visit to my family, when I returned home, I threw myself into losing weight with a level of determination I didn't know I had. All the pain they caused me and the depression served as fuel. At first it started as a way to prove something to my family, but over time it became something more personal. I joined a gym, followed a strict diet, and even hired a personal trainer. My trainer has been a lifesaver, having gone through her own transformation from being overweight to reaching a healthy weight. She knew exactly how to guide me. She designed a specific plan for my goals and helped me greatly. This time, everything seemed to fit. I began to lose weight consistently, and as the pounds came off, I felt lighter. Not just physically, but also emotionally. For the first time in my life, I began to feel and see myself differently. My confidence increased immediately. I used to think that losing weight wouldn't have a big impact, but it really has. People see me differently now. Strangers are kinder, more attentive. My friends and colleagues see me with new respect, and I can't deny that this feels like a validation I had never experienced before. It's as if I had suddenly become visible in a way I hadn't been before. I also changed my style of dressing. I changed my entire wardrobe, filling it with clothes I couldn't have worn before. I even made a radical haircut change that made me look very good. I had never felt so good. Now I look at myself in the mirror and feel more confident and beautiful. It's like meeting a version of myself I never knew could exist. I'm proud of how far I've come, not just for the weight loss, but for the confidence and security in myself that have come with it. Anyway, since Bonnie's wedding is in 2 weeks, my family has asked me to fly home to have lunch with them next week and discuss some final plans for the wedding. However, I don't feel like going. I don't want my family to mock me again and make me feel small, especially after I finally started to feel good about myself for the first time in a long time. I don't even want to attend Bonnie's wedding after the way she and my parents have treated me, so I just want to know, would I be the bad one if I don't attend my sister's wedding? Update 1. I'm overwhelmed by everyone's reaction. Some of your suggestions are honestly hilarious. I can't believe you're really encouraging me to show up and mess with my sister now that I've lost all this weight. Growing up being the fat girl really affected my self-esteem, especially in how I saw myself. I struggled with self-doubt for a long time, always feeling like I wasn't good enough or like I wasn't up to par with others, but reading all your comments has changed my perspective. It's like you've helped me see myself in a completely new way, and I'm finally starting to feel more confident about myself than ever. In fact, now I'm seriously thinking about attending the family lunch and surprising everyone. They haven't seen me in a long time, and since I don't use social media, they have no idea about the weight I've lost. It would be interesting to see how they react. Update 2. Reddit, get ready because this update gets good. Grab your popcorn because this is going to get interesting. I decided to fly to attend the family lunch. As I mentioned before, I thought that seeing me, they would be proud of the transformation I had achieved. After all, they had been the ones who initially pushed me toward this change. Surely they would be excited to see the positive changes in me and finally recognize all the effort I had put in. The moment I crossed the door of my parents' house, their jaws literally dropped. They looked at me stunned, as if they couldn't believe I was the same person. After a few seconds of stuttering, asking if it was really me, I just thanked them for the compliment. They showered me with compliments, telling me how incredible I looked and that they couldn't believe it was really me. However, when Bonnie arrived, things took a different turn. At first, she didn't even realize it was me, but when I got up to greet her, she did a double take with her eyes wide open in surprise. She let out a strange, almost forced laugh before approaching and pressing her fingers against my stomach as if she needed proof that I had really lost all that weight. My parents laughed at her reaction and told her that they couldn't believe it either at first. When we sat down to lunch, the conversation revolved around my transformation. Bonnie and my parents filled me with questions about how I had achieved it. They kept being surprised to see how I had accomplished it, although it seemed they still couldn't believe it, as if they doubted that everything was true. But there I was in front of them. Bonnie especially kept repeating that she never expected me to change so drastically. After losing weight, she commented, "When I asked you to lose weight, I never imagined you would look so pretty. I didn't even know you had that jaw and those ankles under all that fat." I paused, trying to maintain my composure, and smiled at her before reminding her, "Bonnie, I've always been pretty. Losing weight just enhanced my features." However, Bonnie insisted that it wasn't just that and that there was something really different about me. Then she had the audacity to ask, "Did you have any surgery? Because there's no way you look this good on your own." I felt my blood starting to boil. Not all of us take the easy path like her. I worked very hard, like I did to get my academic merits and my job. But for her, that was impossible because she had never made an effort in her life. I looked her directly in the eyes and told her, "Well, B, it's incredible that you think so little of me. There was no surgery, just a lot of hard work and self-love, something you should maybe try sometime." Bonnie's expression changed from surprise to annoyance, but I didn't care. I felt good finally speaking up and putting her in her place. Before she could respond, my parents intervened, trying to smooth things over in their way. "You shouldn't be offended," my mom said. "It's just that the three of us had never seen you like this before. Honestly, now you look even more beautiful than Bonnie, and she's the one getting married." Bonnie seemed even more furious after Mom's comment. I simply ignored her and concentrated on my lunch, letting my sister enjoy her anger. Then my mom added, "You know, I was thinking, maybe you should go back to your natural hair color. I think you'd look even better with your original tone. This blonde look makes you stand out too much. Maybe you should return to your old appearance." Bonnie and my dad immediately agreed with her. My dad backed up my mom, saying that Bonnie had always been the blonde daughter of the family and I the brunette. He commented that it would be a good idea for me to return to my original color because it would make me look more like myself. My stylist had been the one who suggested I change my hair color to blonde because it better complemented my skin tone and my face. It had nothing to do with trying to stand out or eclipse my sister. I could understand why Bonnie was jealous of me since I now looked good, but I couldn't understand why my parents seemed so unhappy with me. It was as if they wanted me to go back to being who I was before, when they were the ones who wanted me to look more presentable for their dear daughter's wedding in the first place. But I also remember that before they wanted me to lose weight as if that embarrassed them, but now that I had achieved it, they simply couldn't accept the person I had become. Instead of celebrating my growth, they were looking for reasons for me to go back to being like before. Finally, I asked my parents, "What is your problem? Why can't I be blonde too? Does my sister own that color or something?" I paused to see if they would respond with something coherent, but since they didn't have much to say, I continued, No, she doesn't. I can be blonde or brunette, it's my choice. Why do you care so much?" I couldn't understand why they were so obsessed with me going back to being like before, as if my appearance had to adjust to who I was in the past. My mom argued that I was deliberately sabotaging Bonnie's wedding by trying to stand out with my appearance. Bonnie also intervened, saying that with my weight loss, I was already going to attract attention, so I really needed to take away her hair color too. My dad, as always, took their side like a bootlicker of my sister and my mother. He needed to be on the good side of them, so he told me not to make things more difficult and to accept changing to a less flashy version of myself for the wedding. Couldn't believe what I was hearing. It wasn't about taking anything away from anyone, but about having the freedom to choose what made me feel good. But instead of supporting that, everyone was focused on how this might make Bonnie feel uncomfortable. "You know what? I'm sick of this," I said, and I was saying it quite angrily. "The three of you are so caught up in your own negativity that you can't even accept that I've changed. The truth is that I've always been incredible just as I am, but none of you ever saw it. Now that I've lost weight, it's still not enough for you. No matter what I do, it's never enough. Given that you have so much to say about me, I think it's time I give you some unsolicited advice, like you love to give me so much." First, I addressed my mom since I had a lot to tell them with everything I had had to live through for years. "Mom, I really hate how loose the skin around your eyes is and your lips fall to one side when you laugh. I can't help but notice all your crooked teeth, and honestly, it's simply disgusting to me. It disgusts me that you come close to talk with that mouth. You should do something about it before all your rotten teeth fall out." "Dad," I continued because I was already on a roll, "you have nerve. You really have no right to say anything about anyone's hair or hair color. How are you going to criticize someone's appearance when you can't even maintain a head full of hair? You've grown an imposing belly over the years, and this year in particular, I think you've been on a diet to make it even bigger. Have you been to the doctor to check that you're not pregnant? Because balls you lack, since you always agree with Mom and Bonnie, maybe it's not biologically impossible." They tried to protest or respond to me, but I silenced them and continued. I wasn't going to let them ruin my streak of cutting comments to return all the damage they had done to me. Finally, it was Bonnie's turn, whom I left for last because she was the person who most deserved each one of those words. "And you, don't you ever belittle me again? Between the two of us, I've always been the prettier sister. But now with all the weight I've lost, you look even fatter than I used to. Just look at those chubby arms you have. I don't think there's time from now until the wedding to remove that excess weight you have, not even if you starved yourself to death. Besides, you may be a year younger, but all your party nights have taken their toll. You have spots around your eyes, and you look like a very tired raccoon. All the sun you've taken over the years hasn't done you any good either. Your skin looks wrinkled and ugly. But the most pathetic thing is that you'll never be as smart as me. You can spend your whole life trying, but you're a stupid woman, and that doesn't go away so easily. I worry about when your husband leaves, you when he realizes there are dumber and younger blondes out there, and you have no way to survive." Bonnie's face turned red as a tomato from embarrassment, which shouldn't help her skin right now, and she looked like she was about to burst into tears. Then I raised my glass, finished my drink in one gulp, and gave them a mocking smile before leaving them all quite annoyed. I couldn't believe those words had really come out of my mouth, but I don't regret it one bit. Well, maybe I do. Now I can think of even more things to tell them, but I'm not going to worry about them. After years of being the target of their criticism, they deserve to be humiliated that way. After that lunch, I flew directly back home. I didn't want to stay to attend Bonnie's wedding. Since then, my phone hasn't stopped ringing with voicemails and texts from my parents and Bonnie. They've been calling me rude and ill-mannered for the way I spoke to them and for simply leaving. My mom even insists that I should fly back and attend Bonnie's wedding, saying it won't look good to her in-laws if I'm not present. Well, update 3. Everyone has been insisting that I should attend the wedding anyway because that's where people should see me as I look now. I accepted the advice and returned just to attend that day. I didn't inform my parents of anything. I didn't want Bonnie to know, and it would be a nice surprise gift. At this point, I don't care if it might seem petty on my part, but I wanted to have fun at a wedding and get my revenge, 2 things I achieved, although there was also an extra. But first, let me tell you about my parents and mainly Bonnie's reaction when I arrived. My parents asked me what I was doing there, since as far as they knew, I wasn't going to attend. I told them I was there to have fun at the wedding. My mother said it was fine, but that I was too well dressed and that I should remove some accessories while she tried to remove them herself. I hit her hand and told her never to touch me again, because the gym not only helped me lose weight, it also gave me quite a bit of strength. I warned her that I didn't want to know how hard I could hit her. After that, I got lost among the people and started talking to people I hadn't seen in years. Unlike my parents, they congratulated me on my appearance and were enormously happy for my change. I also met Bonnie's boyfriend for the first time, whom I congratulated on his wedding. Although deep down I wasn't serious about it, since marrying my sister isn't something that really deserves to be congratulated or celebrated. Besides, he didn't seem to be a good catch because he made me a somewhat out-of-place compliment. He told me he didn't know Bonnie had such a beautiful sister, and that if he had known, maybe he wouldn't be marrying her. I took it as a joke, although it seemed strange to me. I simply answered, "Good luck," and walked away to talk to other people. Then the ceremony took place and Bonnie still didn't know I was there, but during the reception she saw me and approached with the reddest tomato face I had ever seen her with, although with the white dress I think this only made it stand out more. She approached and told me, "I see you decided to come to my wedding. I hope you leave some food for the others." I just laughed because I knew she was jealous, very jealous. The party was quite good. I danced with some men, caught up with some relatives, and had fun like anyone at a party, until her husband approached me and made an even more inappropriate comment than the previous one. He said textually, "I know you and your sister don't get along, so this can be our secret." He was slurring some words, but it was clear he was trying to hit on me at his wedding. That's why I gave him a look of disgust and walked away from there. My sister has always had quite bad taste in men, and they've even been unfaithful to her a couple of times. But this was already another level. Not that I felt bad for her, but this man was really disgusting. After that, I returned to my city, and I haven't heard much from my parents or Bonnie. Throughout the night, they avoided me, and I did the same. At least I know I won't attend her next wedding because I've already made my point clear, and believe me, I know there will be another wedding because this marriage won't last long. In the previous post, there was a kind of bet about how long the marriage would last. Many comments made their predictions. Well, the winner is whoever said 7 months. Believe me, I also lost because I expected it to last much less, but that's how long it took Bonnie's husband to cheat on her and for her to find out. Maybe it could have been earlier, but my sister was never very smart, and I was right when I told her that without a man she couldn't do much because now she lives with my parents again. The only difference is that now she's more wrinkled and stupid than before, looking for a new boyfriend who wants to marry her.